Swan dive into a gay fiesta.
Into a pit of needles and razor wire.
That's not a gay fiesta. Up.
What the fuck was that? Welcome back to Digi Bros, everybody.
What's up, bitch?
Keeping in with my habit of introducing my topics in weird, incredibly broad sentences.
What?
The human mind is strange.
Sure.
Me and you have gotten older.
True.
And your phone is like
It's
going ape
It's
shit.
Hope texting me.
You know, we've gotten a little older, and as we've gotten on, and Victor's checking his phone.
I'm just gonna check it.
He's just gonna look at it for a little bit.
It's just saying goodnight.
Anyway, so you know, as we've gotten older, we've gotten because the way I'm gonna phrase this is that like you know, I want to say our priorities have changed.
Yeah.
And we've got different ways that we think about time, but those ways don't make any sense. Let me just get into my point here. I now favor video games based on what I can play over them.
Yeah.
And you do too.
Definitely.
And there's no good logic behind it.
Yes.
So, like, alright, I
really
played
isn't.
through all the Souls games while listening to The Biggest Problem in the Universe, right? I listened to it the entire way through. And, like, you know, I've heard every episode of Biggest Problem. But, like, you know, when I played Bloodborne, I had downloaded all the bonus episodes.
Holy shit.
And I was catching up a bit. But now I've, re-listened to almost every episode of the show just
Yes.
while playing Souls games.
It's
It's like a married experience for me. They have to go together, you know? And then I was like, all right, it's time to play Doom. Well, nobody gives a fuck about the story in Doom, you know?
Yes.
A lot of people are, like, really praising the music in the game, but it's just, like, generic metal music.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
pretty dumb.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's great for Doom, but,
Yeah.
like, I don't care about the music.
I was
that
kind of
much.
disappointed because I thought it would be as cool as the first game, and I was just like, eh.
Well,
Like, I would have wanted, like, an awesome, metal music, like, the whole time.
Well, the first game was all, like, literally
Yes.
illegal ripoffs of, like,
Exactly.
Metallica and
But it was
Slayer
cool.
songs.
I would have liked it if they, like, paid royalties. Like, they could afford to put those songs in the new Doom, you know?
No, they could not.
Really?
They could not.
They can play them on the fucking radio, they can put them in a
You
video
don't
game.
understand how
Like,
expensive.
fucking Tony Hawk gets all those
There's
fucking
a
songs.
huge difference between the radio and video games, and there's a huge difference between Tony
Fucking
Hawk
Guitar
and
Hero
Doom.
gets all those goddamn songs. There's this new video game
Guitar
that everyone
Hero-
was hyped for.
Guitar
Like, it's
Hero
probably
is
sold
entirely
like hell.
based around, like, the soundtrack, though. Like, they have to. And even then, they end up using, like, fake versions of a lot of those songs.
Come
you know?
on, man. They could have had a good soundtrack in the new Doom.
Well, like I said, a lot of people are really praising the soundtrack. I've seen
And a
people
lot of
posting songs
losers.
from it on Twitter, like, every day.
Yeah.
As, like, ultimate workout music and stuff like that.
workout music.
But,
It
you
should have
know,
just been Death Grips, man. That should have been the whole soundtrack.
yeah, like, the thing is that I don't... The fact of the matter is, no matter what the soundtrack was,
ain't
I
get
probably
this.
wasn't going to listen to it. Because I want to hear podcasts while
Yeah.
I play. But the thing is, this is not a matter of efficiency. It really isn't. Because I've heard every episode of Biggest Problem. I'm just re-listening to them.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the funny thing. It's like you're not listening to anything new.
no, because
you
there's
just
nothing...
want to listen to it.
There's no other podcast that I've found that I really like that much, and B, that works well with video games.
Yeah.
Like, the Hello Internet podcast is pretty good, but it's, like, so slow that it really doesn't match up with games. They talk about these, like, long plotting topics, you know? Like, it's just not, like, that interesting to listen to. And, you know, Let's Plays usually have some visual element to them. But, like, Biggest Problem in the Universe is so, like, hyper and fun that it's like, yeah, I'm listening to, like, funny stuff while I play games. But, like, yeah, there's no efficiency to it. It's just I can't bring myself to be doing just video game, you know? And the sad part is that there's a bunch of games that I haven't been playing simply because I have
you
to
want to
listen
listen to
that.
podcasts. Yeah, like The Witcher 3.
Yeah,
The
Witcher 3 is
which is why it was funny that I
the
went
one I'm
and
getting
got
to.
Uncharted 4 because I was nervous about getting it because I wouldn't be able to listen to anything over it, and then I got really engrossed in the game and it didn't matter.
Right.
And like I was glad I played it, and I'm just like, why? Yeah. Like
Why?
I got Pikmin 3 just because I could play shit over it, you know?
Right.
Like.
The question here is, I guess the thesis of this is, why has neither of us played The Witcher 3?
Yeah.
It was considered widely.
I loved it. I played like 2 hours of it and thought it was like amazing. And I've just been waiting to get back to it. I just know it's gonna take forever. But then I ended up playing a different game, and like, what is even my life anymore? Like, all I do is play games. I might as well commit to it.
Well, like, I haven't, ever since way back in 2012, when I first was planning my channel, it was all based around Mass Effect, right? I wanted to review all 3 Mass Effect games because I played all 3 of them at the end of 2012, and they were like the best games ever.
Wait, this guy's cool.
All this time, you ignorant slaves.
This is my favorite fights too. This guy's
Finally
awesome.
taken notice, have you?
He just like talks. Like no other dude is just talk to you while they fight you, and this guy just talks like hell.
He's Lothric.
It's just like in fucking Bloodborne when you find fucking
He was the king. He went crazy.
Or some say Castle.
Oh yeah, he is a lot like
Yes.
what's his name?
Where you're just like, oh, I'm towards the end of the game, and now there's a guy who talks to me. And I'm not sure why, because I haven't been paying attention to any of the lore.
Right.
I don't know who the fuck this guy is, or what the hell he's talking about. But he's a dragon. Mikolash.
Mikolash is possibly my favorite character in any of the Souls
Yes,
games.
mostly from Shane quoting him constantly.
Yeah, me and Shane are both
Shane will
always...
just randomly be like, oh!
Me and Shane just walk up to each other
I'm
and go,
waking up. I forget everything.
cause. Or some say cousin.
I'm pretty sure Shane can quote every single Mikolash line.
Do you hear our prayers? Grant us eyes. Grant us eyes.
It's the best fucking character.
He's amazing. But yeah, man, I still have not replayed the Mass Effect games. And the main reason for that is you can't do anything else when you play Mass Effect. You really got to get engrossed in the world, in the characters, like, because it's all dialogue driven. It's all listening to people talk and like watching cutscenes and fucking, listening to the music and getting engrossed. And you can't get engrossed in a game like that while listening to podcasts, but you can with like Dark Souls and Doom.
Yeah,
and
because they're gamey games and not story games.
Well, like and there's a strong like audio element to Dark Souls, and like I usually have the sound on just like a little bit in the background, enough for me to like process it and hear the cathartic cunk of my weapons hitting people. But like for me, like 99% of the experience is visual and controls, so like, and I can process all that while listening to something else. But yeah, it is weird that I'm like so averse to the idea.
There's a difference between
of
playing a video
engrossed.
game and wanting to be engrossed in a story. Like, that's why you're playing a game and not watching TV, because you want to turn your brain off and just listen to some shit and push some buttons.
It was so easy for like, as soon as I saw Doom, it was like, all right, I can play this all day because it will take nothing of my concentration, even though it's a game that I'm like on the edge of my seat, balls to the wall every fight, every single thing I do is like just intense, like, mind encompassing battle that I'm in. But if I had been playing it with just music, I would have stopped. I wouldn't have done it. And like, it's been an experience for me where, because I generally with video games, I tend to not be able to stand the music for too long. Yeah. Because the music will get repetitive, especially in like RPGs. Like, every song in an RPG is usually great, but you're gonna hear it 1,000 times. The battle music, like, I can't play an RPG just like with the sound on just because of the battle music a lot of the time, like the turn-based games and stuff like that.
It's always jarring and like.
Well, it's just that it's every battle you hear the same song. Like, I played through Persona 2 a few years back, and it was like every dungeon has a unique song that's really cool, but it's constantly every 10 seconds you're interrupting the dungeon music to hear the same battle theme for 50 hours.
There should be a new battle scene for every dungeon, you know?
Yeah, it would be great.
Dungeon, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it then. But like you're gonna hear that battle theme 1,000 times, and I can't deal with that. Like it drives me crazy, especially because the music's constantly changing. So like, the feeling of the game is constantly bouncing between like I'm in a spooky dungeon and all right, fight, yeah, you know. So
that's what bothers me the most, is that it's this jarring transition from your chill dungeon music to your fight.
Yeah, so I can't deal with that. So I'll play my own music over it. But the thing is, when I listen to my own music while playing games, it's real annoying to me. Like I've never been into like playing an album over a game because it'll, you know, like parts of the album are different. They're not all the same tone usually. So like you've got that one song that doesn't quite match what's going on, or like, you know, because the thing is that if you try to not have the different battle theme and dungeon music, then it's like your music's either gonna match one or the other, you know. If you're listening to like a chilled out song while you go through a dungeon and then you get into a fight, that fight has no tension, you know. It's like I get why they do the music the way they do, it's just that it's intolerable. So like with a podcast though, I can kind of listen to the game sound and then also be listening to something that's not repetitive and doesn't like the tone doesn't matter because the podcast doesn't really have a specific tone, you know. There were certain times in Dark Souls where I'd like pause the podcast for a cutscene, you know, just because it feels more the way they lead into cutscenes with the fade in and everything.
Watch like podcasts the first time I play Dark Souls. Like with this game, like I'm definitely glad I didn't, because it's like the atmosphere is so good and so careful and like perfect.
I just think that the atmosphere is communicated even without.
But I think it's
the sound all the way up.
But it's not, you know? Like, it's wonderful when it's not. Because when you have it really loud, and, like, just how quiet the game is, you know, makes it super creepy and cool. Like, you don't
I
get
know
that
you
when you're
think that, but I just find it really annoying. Because when I'm in your room and you're playing, I'm just like, oh, God, it's so fucking loud. Like, make it die.
You gotta be immersed.
I just don't like loud things. I don't keep my
I like
volume
games to be loud, like I like a movie to be loud, you know? It's like I want to have it fucking go.
No, movies are always too loud in theaters.
Okay, you're just a little bitch then.
I just don't like loud. I don't like loud stuff. I like things quiet.
Need loud movies.
You've heard that I listen to everything really quiet, and apparently it's weird to like Trevor and stuff. Like he's always like.
Because you can't hear it as well.
You can though if you're quiet.
But it doesn't sound as full and like cool and complete.
You think that. And sometimes it's true, but like if you sit in a silent, my room is way quieter than anywhere else ever.
I mean, I also have generally loud shit around me all the time in my room.
Because the thing is that if you have one other person in the room, it just makes the room louder. Like not even saying anything. Like if I was listening to music by myself, I often keep it on like 2 notches. You know, like almost minimum volume. And then someone can come into the room and just be sitting there behind me, and suddenly the music sounds incredibly quiet, you know? And so I have to turn it up like 3 more notches. Because it's just the natural sound of human beings, you know, is loud enough that it raises the volume of your room. And my room is like pure dead air. There's no like, even though there's a lot of like white noise, there's no like you know, sound of people really, and the air doesn't circulate in here, so like sound travels really easily. You know, like if something tiny happens across my room, I can hear it immediately. So I keep my volume really low on everything, and then when other people come in, they're like, "That's really quiet," and I'm like, "Well, it wasn't to me until you showed up."
You know, there's silence, but I'm always surrounded by noise, so I have to keep shit very loud.
Yeah, and there's also like a.
And I'm further away from my speakers too. So
there's a factor that I call like the escalation of sound, where like if you start listening to something that's quiet and you're concentrating on it, then it keeps feeling louder. But then if someone else comes in the room, then suddenly it's quiet, and you have to keep escalating it to make it like feel loud again.
I always feel like music, no matter what, sounds like shit in my car when there's someone else in the car. Like,
Yeah.
it always sounds amazing when I'm alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone else gets
I
in, I'm
feel
like,
the
oh,
same.
it sounds like shit.
Every time I have a passenger in my car, I have to crank the music.
Yeah.
And then when I crank the music,
I mean, I
end
crank
up-
the music when I'm alone, and it sounds, better cranked alone than better cranked with someone else.
I keep my car music really low, and it sounds great to me. And then when somebody else gets in, it's like, oh god, I have to turn it all the way up, and suddenly I notice every imperfection in every song, and how bad the recording quality is, or how bad it's coming out of my speakers. I don't notice any of that when I'm driving. Like, everything sounds perfect. And then as soon as somebody else is there, I'm like, oh, well, this song is horrible. What has happened, you know? And I have to turn it up to like 11 so it sounds right.
I always feel like shit when I play you stuff that you haven't heard yet in my car, and I'm just like, oh, it sounds bad.
Right.
Just like, this sounds so great when I'm alone.
Same here. But then when I listen to music fast in the car, I drive fast.
Yeah.
So like then I start driving like a fucking madman, and I'm like, and I always feel like I'm doing it to show off or something. Like, look how crazy I can drive.
The weirdest things. Oh Jesus. This fucking fight is cool, man. You're fighting a fucking dragon, man.
It's pretty fucking incredible. It's
Dark Souls in their
coolest
dragon
goddamn
fights, dude.
thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. That fucking blue glow, man, is like one of my favorite. I think that's the perfect Dark Souls 3 review.
Yes.
This is the coolest goddamn thing I've ever seen in my
Fuck.
fucking life.
Shit, I shouldn't have drank that.
If you haven't seen the video, big time spoilers from the blue glow.
Oh!
I recommend
Wrecked!
it.
Fucking cool, man. He's a dragon man. He's got a mustache. Fuck yeah. The Consume King. That was one of those bosses where you're just like, man, I feel like I need to get into the lore of this game because I don't know what the fuck just happened, but it was cool. I was paying attention.
I still have no idea what Ocelot is. I know that the Consumed King is the former King Lothric, the father of Prince Lothric.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like what the hell he's doing with this Ocelot thing.
I don't know fuck about anything about this game.
Yeah.
Vadi hasn't told me yet.
He hasn't told us enough.
Oh.
So yeah.
Shit.
I just think it's really weird that we're choosing games on the basis of soundtracks. And neither one of us has played The Witcher 3. We've both had access to it for like... You have it on PC now, right? Oh, you have access to it
even though
on
I
PC?
uninstalled it for something else.
Oh.
So I gotta reinstall it because it's huge.
Because, like, I'd
rather just fucking play it on PS4. Oh, something I wanted to point out about this game is that, like, I just played Uncharted on PS4. Probably one of the most gorgeous fucking games I've ever seen in my life. Definitely felt like on PC it could have probably looked better and pushed it harder, but it was still very gorgeous. And then this game on PS4 compared to PC just looks so much, like, worse. And I don't understand because Uncharted looks so much better than this. So, like, why did they have to dumb this game down so much when that one got to look so much better? I don't know.
Uncharted 4 was all 30 frames, wasn't it?
Maybe that's it.
And that's the only difference between the PS4 and PC versions of this game is that it's
no, the textures don't look as detailed. Like on that boss, he looked kind of like spongy.
If you say so.
I think
this
it looks
game
a little
looks
weaker on
amazing.
PS4.
But Uncharted 4 is definitely unbelievably
Oh
good
yeah,
looking.
there's definitely like most of the time, if I had walked into a room and saw someone playing this and like it's in a cutscene and I didn't know they were playing a game, you just think it was live action. Like you'd have no idea they're playing a video game.
Well, I don't just mean that. I mean the
It's
fucking
beautiful.
environments are. Like,
yeah, and that too.
Mwah.
But I mean the cutscene graphics are the same as the in-game graphics. It's gorgeous the whole time.
All right.
Beautiful. There's this fucking part where you go around in a Jeep. The most gorgeous thing I've ever fucking seen. So cool. I love that. It was probably the most fun I've had at a fucking driving segment of a game ever. Because you're just like driving around doing firefights in this Jeep. And it's like not really open world, but it kind of feels like it might as well be. And it's just insane.
Yeah.
Very immersed. Very, very clean.
I just hope that at some point we will play The Witcher 3. Just because,
Yes.
again, it's like considered the best game ever.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, no one I know has played it for the same reason. You know, like Jesse
It's
hasn't
too much.
played it because he knows it's too time consuming. You know, all my friends haven't played it, even though some of them have spent hundreds of hours on Dark Souls.
Yeah.
In this time, you know. I've spent.
Because in Dark Souls, you don't have to be in it 100%, you know?
Yeah, it's man, it's so bizarre. Like the logic is so broken for why we're all not doing it.
Yeah.
And why like it's the same logic by which like me trying to watch an anime show all the way through. Like, because of my job, because I feel like I have to really, like, take in everything from a show,
Yeah.
it's so much easier for me to, like, put on a cartoon and watch all of it and not pay attention. I know that's why you watch live-action shows anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
So I don't have to pay 100% attention.
Right.
Or at least shit in English,
but
you
then,
know?
like, for me, I can't split my attention. Like,
Yeah.
the way that you do, where you can play a video game and watch a show at the same
Yeah.
time, I can't do that.
And it depends on the show, you know? If it's a very visually engaging show, then you can't do that. But if it's just fucking
I
talking
can't-
heads, like, you
I
might
can't
as well
do it
do something
at all
else.
because I can't pay attention to two things at once.
Yeah.
Period. I just can't.
Did I learn the pose?
Yeah. Go back to the
Hold on.
go to the
Did I-
secret place.
I don't feel like I learned it, though. Or did I learn it from killing that dude?
No, you learned it from
How do I
picking
do
it
the
up off that
fucking
corpse.
poses?
You picked it up. You picked up the pose.
How do I do it?
Press the fucking middle button on the damn controller, on the left.
There we go. Wasn't doing it. I changed swap my pose. Oh, you gotta hit on the left side?
Yeah,
Oh!
dumbass. I said that.
I forgot it was 2 buttons.
Yes.
Which one is it? This? Is
No,
it this?
that one. Path of
Yeah.
the Dragon.
Path of the Dragon. Oh, he's a dragon boy.
Alright, I guess we made that point. Next time on Digi Bros.
Blah.
This. Alright, stop for a second.